Let's briefly talk. I know we don't spend a lot of time talking about current stuff, but I saw something last week, and then I saw a still from your dark taping or elevation or whatever it is. My man Satnam can hold you like you were a teenage boy, like you were a 12, 13-year-old little kid. And you've been in the ring with some big boys, the Mark Henrys and the big shows of the world. But when he caught you and Jay on the whole little hang on to the rope, lean back spot, and then in your arms, and then just put you back in the ring. And then I saw a still photo of him holding you and Jay at the same time, like Andre did with the cheerleaders back in the day. What are we dealing with Satnam Singh?
Oh, so, doing umpteen thousand interviews through the years, a lot of interviewers would ask different questions, Conrad. I don't know if I've ever laid it out like this for you, but who's the strongest man you've ever been in the ring with? My kind of simplistic answers through the years are, and sometimes people go, I really didn't think of it that way. Steve Mongo McMichael. And I know he's, his skill set being a lineman in football and all this, his upper body strength, but man, he could throw you around like a legit rag doll. Scott Steiner's another guy with his amateur background. They just kind of know how to move whatever it is, their hips, their weights, and they're super, super strong, and genetically they're gifted and all that. Those two guys. Paul White is another one. Worked with him at WCW many times, and I can just remember like, okay, this guy is next level strong. Scott Hall used to say, oh, Double J will dead ass yourself and get heavy real quick. I mean, those guys, it's totally irrelevant. You can try to make yourself as heavy as possible. There's zero to that. But Satnam is completely in another stratosphere. And I know that youth, nothing replaces youth as far as the strength and dexterity. But Conrad, when we did that the very first time, I'm looking at him, and Jay is what, 235-ish, probably. He's I'd say he's heavier than me, 235. I don't know, 220, 225, 230, whatever he is.
He's not a small man.
He is not a small man, and he's thick. He's not a skinny guy. When I saw him in his arms, and I could tell, I could read both of them eyes, like, yeah, Jeff, jump on up here. I'm thinking, okay, here comes 225. Let's see what happens. I'm glad you called it the Andre. I mean, it's literally like having two babies. But like all me and Jay need is like bottles of milk. I mean, Conrad, it's unbelievable, his strength. You think about a guy who is standing outside and he had both of our weights at the same time. It is superhuman strength. People are just now kind of understanding what they're witnessing. And look, he is developing in front of everybody's eyes. Years ago, Andre got to cut his teeth in Montreal and territories and go to Japan and match after match after match after match, because it goes without saying, when Andre walked through the curtain for the very first time, certainly when Satnam walked through the curtain for the first time, I mean, you're judged, you're viewed, you're looked at. I mean, we talked a little bit on this podcast, being the promoter's son, you've got eyes on you, just like, how's he going to be? And Dustin Rhodes or Cody and, second generation and third generation folks can always be judged. I'll call it harshly, and rightly so. But when you're 7'4", size 22 shoe, of course you're going to be judged. But his strength and his dexterity and how he's progressing, we are witnessing something very, very special. There's no doubt in my mind that we are seeing a truly, not just unique because of his size, but because of his athletic ability. And I truly believe he came to the States early in his life and has had coaching and mentoring around him. If he continues on the path to be coachable and listen and dig in and do the work, sky's the limit. There's no doubt in my mind.